1988. You come into that final round 3 shots adrift of Paul Azinger. He was the 36-hole leader. He was the 54-hole leader. Was anybody considering you a threat at that time? Was there anything in your makeup that kind of made you think, you know what? One of the articles I was reading in prep today, Jeff, was they called you under the radar. Not 100% certain what that means. If you're in striking distance and no one's even taking account of you, did you take account of you? What were your thoughts heading into that final round?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I made a nice up and down on the 54th hole to get into the second last group and to play with Faldo, which I loved. It was going to be all business, shake hands on the first tee. You're not going to say a word for 18 holes and then shake hands on 18, which is nice. You don't have to worry about playing with a buddy and he might be moaning or groaning or, whatever. So, and there was only 2 ahead of us. It was Zinger and Dave Rummels. Mm-hmm. It's not, to me, like I was a total unknown or hitting ground balls off the first tee. I had lost the Players Championship the year prior to Sandy Lyle in a playoff. So obviously in a big situation, I was able to hold up at least in, 87 at the Players. So now we're 88. And I'm watching the TV that night, the local news, and they're talking about Zinger. This is his tournament to win. He's got the lead, best player in the field right now. Talked about Rummels. Skipped over me, didn't say a word about Faldo. And then well, this guy's in 10th place. If he shoots 65 today, he might get up there. And that really, honestly, ticked me off. Here I am in 3rd place, and they literally didn't mention me. So I don't know if that ever makes any difference, that you're not going to play harder. You're not going to remember that. But it just did bother me when it was all said and done.
And you used that chip. How did it manifest itself? I don't want to jump to the end of the story and everybody here, but it deserves mention now. 5 birdies and an eagle, dude. You shoot a 65. That is one of the best all-time rounds in a major championship in the final round. It's remarkable. So how did you channel that energy?
Well, I was playing well all week, and if you looked at the stats, it was one of those weeks that I led the week in fairways and greens hit in regulation. If you do that on a very difficult major setup golf course with heavy rough and tuck pins and all that, unless you've had a real disaster hole or two, you're probably going to have a decent chance to win, right? So I kept up that play, bombed it off the first tee, hit it in there about 8 feet, missed it. Next hole down the fairway, hit it in there to about a foot, and it just kind of went on from there. I haven't said this because it sounds really ridiculous, but had I honestly putted well that day, I could have shot 61, 62 very, very easily without even thinking about it.
Wow.
But I'll take the 65 and the W.
Yeah, the 65 and the W. Is it true, dude? Did you lose a congratulations letter from Jack Nicklaus?
Oh yeah, I sure did. I didn't know what was going on. They throwing me all of the PGA of America, the trophy, and then the presentation, and literally out of a checkbook, they wrote a check for $160,000. That was the winner's share back then. So I gave it to my future wife, and then I had all the media to do, and I was staying at Willie Wood's house, actually. He was a member there and played, and 2 minutes from the first tee. So did all the media and that, and then I went to my locker, and all these notes were in there, and I saw one from Jack Nicklaus. I'm like, oh my gosh, Jack Nicklaus. I've never played with him yet, and all that, and opened it up, and somehow in all the chaos, unpacking everything and going to Willie's house, I lost it. So I sheepishly saw Jack the next week at Castle Pines and said, Jack, I really appreciate the note, but I lost it. Is there any chance you could write another one? He kind of looked up at me like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. So he wrote it out, and that was great. That was the start of it's been a great friendship I've had with Jack ever since.